Last week, we highlighted prop equity data which showed two startling figures. Between January to March 2012, the absorption rates in Mumbai and in NCR residential market dipped by 50% plus. New launches by developers also came down by half. One could interpret that perhaps as early signs of a slowdown in India's real estate sector, where both demand and supply have dropped. Godrej Properties, though, is still quite optimistic on the residential sector's growth potential. Devna Vora caught up with Adi Godrej himself, who spells out why the season of pessimism doesn't bother him.
Godrej Properties is a very rapidly growing company. Its average growth, sales growth over the last 5 years has been around 50% per annum. It's growing very strongly. We have announced, I think, 8 new projects last year. We've announced 2 projects this year, and we'll continue to look at further projects. We are a national player. We're in all 4 zones of the country. We currently have projects in about 12 cities, Godrej Properties does, and we feel we'll continue to expand very rapidly.
So everyone is very interested in Vikhroli, where it stands at the moment. The overall size of Vikhroli is about 3,500 acres, if you include everything?
Yes, if we include everything, including our mangrove forest, it's about 3,500 acres. And the developable area would be roughly half of it. Currently, we're developing a 35-acre plot, which used to be the industrial and commercial office space for Godrej Industries. We are also developing some of the Godrej and Boyce property. Godrej Properties is doing that as a development manager for Godrej and Boyce. That's mainly residential property, and we'll continue to develop further.
And very often you've spoken of real estate being the star performer for Godrej Industries as a group, and even though it's a new starter, it could possibly blossom into your biggest business in the next 10 years or so. Is that something you still...
Yes, I feel it will be so. It's our fastest growing business. The group has been growing very rapidly. As I mentioned to you, last year our growth was 30%, but our real estate business grew by more than 50%. And it will be faster growing than our other businesses. And it's quite possible that in, say, 10 years' time, it might be our biggest single business.
Also the rates in Vikhroli. I remember the last time I spoke to you, I talked about 8,000 to 10,000 rupees, but you said it would be substantially higher by the...
I think current rate at which the Godrej Platinum has been booked is around 14,000 rupees a square foot.
In terms of townships, how many more townships do you think you're going to be announcing?
It's difficult. It depends. Each project has to be announced. Currently, we are doing one township, which is in Ahmedabad. It's the only township within the municipal limits of a large Indian city. If there are opportunities, we'll announce further townships. Okay. I think we are looking at a couple of other opportunities, which we might announce soon.
Any fundraising plans for the group? I know it's a bad market, but...
We have had, we had 2 major fundraisings recently. Of course, I'm not talking of debt, I'm talking of equity. Yeah. Godrej Consumer Products issued some shares to Temasek on a preferential basis. Yeah. And Godrej Properties has had the only IPP up to now in India, and both were very successful. We don't see any major further equity raising in the near future. Debt is from time to time, but actually our debt overall for the group has come down over the last year.
That's a really big statement coming in from Adi Godrej, that his real estate business could probably become the biggest in his portfolio. Well, with a name like Godrej, I think selling for Godrej Properties to the end consumer is also an easier job than a lot of real estate developers in this country. Let's welcome in our next caller.